Ron Harris here with our coverage of the North American Championships, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Coverage brought to you courtesy of Hi-Tech Pharmaceuticals. I'm standing here with new IFBB Pro. He was the over 60 super heavyweight and overall champion, Don Smith. First of all, congratulations, Don. I know this has been a long time coming for you, but I want to start with something else. I know you're not just a bodybuilder. You've been a very vital part of this industry for a very long time. Can you tell people a little bit about that background?
Yes, sir. Back in 1987, after I won Mr. America, I started a company called Crazy Wear.
Yeah.
So we sell activewear all over the country. Gary Stratham and I started the company back then with just a shoestring, basically, and built it to where it was really, really huge. And I'm still doing Crazy Wear.
I had some of your clothing. I remember, I lived out in Venice, or I lived out in LA and was out in Venice all the time. Crazy Wear was huge. It was, it was T. Michael, Crazy Wear, Body Alive. They were pretty much the three big brands. Hot Skins if you wanted to wear little tighty tights, but Crazy Wear was definitely huge in the 80s and 90s out there. So you were part of that whole scene, the Gold's Gym Venice, during pretty much its heyday. What was it like to be able to be part of it when it really was the Mecca, and that's where everybody was?
Well, I ran Gold's Gym for a while. I ran it for a while with Pete Jimkowski, as the owner. He owned it back then. I trained Charles Glass and I trained together. Mike Christian and I. Gary Stratham was my partner. So all the big guys, that's when Gold's Gym was really the Mecca of bodybuilding. If you remember, all the big guys were there, the tough guys, the Barbarian Brothers, Lyle Alzado, which we were best of friends. So we go back then, when the bodybuilding, the core bodybuilding was all in LA. And so I was in Louisiana, and once I won Mr. America, I moved to LA, and that's what started. And then I thought, well, we need some clothing that would fit people that are big and that would be comfortable and look good. And we started Crazy Wear, and we never dreamed it would take off like it did, and it really went out to every country in the world. And so I'm very thankful for what bodybuilding did for me. It worked out where a lot of people say, well, I don't know about bodybuilding, as far as competing and all that, how good I'll do. Well, it worked out for me because it became such a thing where I could make a good living in it and still make a good living doing Crazy Wear. So I'm thankful to all my customers out there, and here I am finally after all these years getting my pro card.
I just have to interject one more thing about Crazy Wear. You say it was for big people to be comfortable. It was also for guys like me who were little, who wanted to pretend we were big. We'd put on these big tops that you made, and instantly it added, 30, 40 pounds of mass in our heads. But, you won the Mr. America back then. Did you consistently compete, or did you get away from it for a long time?
I got away from it because Crazy Wear took off so large, so big, that Gary was my partner, and we said, Gary, you stick to the competing right now, because Gary was on top of the game, doing really, really well. And so I dropped out of the competing and just started running the company and got the company going.
So what year did you win the Mr. America, and when did you start competing again after that? I want to see how long a gap this was.
1987 is when I won Mr. America, and I didn't start competing again until about 2012.
Wow. So I'm not really bad at math, but that was a long time. Yes. So what brought you back into it? You just always loved it, always wanted to do it?
I did, and I couldn't do it back then, and I came so close to getting pro back then, and I said, you know what, I'd like to go back and do it. And here I am, I'll be 64 years old next week,
God love
and here I am finally getting it. So I'm so thankful.
Yeah. So it's a little inspirational message for the guys out there who have this dream. I mean, you never gave up on that dream, I'm guessing. How did you keep it alive all this time when other guys would have said, yeah, forget it, I'm too old now?
Well, it's being really determined, of going back, and I guess I'm kind of like that. I don't give up very easy, and it was always a dream that I had ever since I was a little kid to become pro. Of course, everybody would love to be on the Olympia stage, but even to become pro was something really, really big to me. So I kept that goal in the back of my mind and waited till the timing was right. And I came to Louisiana, and things slowed down some, so I was able to get into really training hard again. I said, hey, I don't look so bad, so I'm going to try this again, and here I am.
So, your condition was just some of the best in the show, not just the Masters. I mean, looking at you, this guy's like, there's like not an ounce of fat on him, veins all over the place. Were you a naturally lean guy, or was this something that you really had to suffer for to get to this condition?
Well, actually, back in '87 in America, I would usually train weighing about 300 pounds.
Wow!
So, as I've gotten older, now I train, I get up to about 275, but I always am very vascular, so I get hard pretty easy and get pretty tight easily.
So what advice do you have? There's a lot of people out there watching this who, they would wish and dream that they could still be bodybuilders at 64 years old. But but you know, a lot of us are stupid and get hurt, and it's just not gonna be a reality. What advice can you give these guys so that they can have this kind of longevity?
You know, I'm so glad you asked that, because that's something I really wanted to tell the people out there, and that is that, you know, a lot of people feel like when they get past 50, you know, it's time to just sit on the couch and give up, that they can't continue to progress. Every year I seem to get better. I'm better now than I've been in years and years and years. So you can continue to progress and get better, you know, but you just have to take that dream and go forward and work hard, because age is just a number, you know. You can just work with and keep going and enjoy it and feel great and look great. So that's what I'd like to tell people, is that you can do this. If you want to get up from that couch and get to that gym and start working out and eating right, you can get in great shape. It's not too late.
Well, this is you know, you're showing by example. I don't know anybody out there who wouldn't be ecstatic to look like this at 54 years old, 44 years old. Forget about 64. You look amazing. It was a well-earned victory, and I know it was a long time coming, and you've been around this game a long time. So nothing but respect for you, sir. Thank you very
so
much.
I appreciate it.
From musculardevelopment.com, this has been Ron Harris with your new IFBB Pro, Don Smith. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.